Hello, my name is Robbie Hoyler. I am an Elite Applications Engineer with TPM. Today we're going to talk about the 10 reasons why you should logically define all of your sketches. This question is as old as SOLIDWORKS itself. Why should I fully define each sketch in my model? Why should I bother? Isn't this just extra time wasted? Why does it matter where the origin is located? Your origin should be located in the most logical place possible for every part you ever draw. The center of a main feature, the center of the part, any place where the planes give you symmetry for the assembly, and anywhere that just makes sense. This helps you define your sketch so much easier than if you don't give any thought to where the origin goes. And for those that were counting, that was reason number 1. Let's look at some of the reasons where not doing this will lead to some frustration, annoyance, and general mistakes in your modeling. Let's say we open up a part and we want to mirror a feature to the other side. Then suddenly we notice that when we go to pick a plane, there are no planes that line up with the middle of this part. Someone put the origin in a silly place. This is not best practice. So go inside of our reference geometry, click plane, create a center plane between the two faces, and that will set us up so that we can actually run the mirror command again. So this is a lot of extra work, whereas in this next step, if we wanted to mirror the feature, it's a lot easier if you have a plane already in the center of your model. I recommend building all of your models this way so that you can mirror, flip parts around, and insert this later into an assembly with a lot of ease. Now this next one is a little bit more simplistic. A lot of people have an issue with fully defining every one of their sketches every time. But let's say someone else opens this model, they're looking at it, looking around in the model, and then they look at part of the geometry and accidentally slide the geometry and mess up the model. Then they just kind of pause and they look at it and they go, well, Control Z, right? That'll fix everything. But if I look at these points, were those points like that, or did I mess something up? It's a risk, right? So you never want to actually do this. You always want to fully define every one of your sketches every single time. Here's the next use case. Let's say we've got a part with a lot of holes in it. Somebody decided to use the origin in the bottom left corner of the part, not centered around a feature. If you have a part like this and you have all these dimensions going all over the place and you have a lot of noise in your model, you should just really set everything on the origin and define everything off of that. That will lead to some more predictable editing when you have to change the model later. It also would have made sense to put the origin in the center of this plate, especially like in this next step if we take a part and drop it into an assembly. When you drop your first part into the assembly, it uses the origin of that part. So if you put your origin somewhere weird, when you drop it into the assembly, you're already starting your assembly off very poorly. The assembly is going to be much harder to work with because all of your parts are not going to be centered to the assembly origin. This next one is one of my most favorite logical reasons. We actually have a fully defined sketch button. Yes, even you guys who are using a lot of these fancy splines, the fully defined sketch button does work for splines. So if this button exists in the software, you have literally no reason not to fully define each and every sketch in all of your models. The fully defined sketch command is actually one of the best commands to take control of your high curvature parts. As we take a look at a 3D model, we're going to try and edit this in 3D. So we're going to click on this and we're going to change the dimension. Unfortunately, after we do a rebuild of this, the model blows up and it goes into an error. Well, that's because this sketch was underdefined. If all of these dimensions were driven properly, we wouldn't have had this problem. So if you fully define your models and you go in and make a change, it's not going to blow up and bow tie like this one would. And check this out, even after I put that dimension back, it still had a huge error, right? That's not the same part that I opened. The next reason I'm going to talk about is pretty simple. If you're in a multi-user environment, do not leave a part like this for your coworker to come back and edit. It's going to really upset them. Because if they're used to using SOLIDWORKS the proper way, they're going to dislike working with you and your data. Reason number 10, the SOLIDWORKS user base and the SOLIDWORKS community have decided that everyone should be logically defining all of their sketches, preferably with the origin somewhere in the middle so that we can all use our data together. So if everybody follows this standard, all of our parts will go together in assemblies, everything will make sense when we go to dimension and relation our parts, and everything will just be nicer for a multi-user environment. This has been TPM's 3 Minute Thursdays. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.